Well, what's up guys, I am Czech MMA. I'm going to be doing a review on the fight between Rory MacDonald and Nate Diaz for UFC 129 Shields vs St. Pierre. Now when I compare fighters and fights, I'm very thorough about it, so bear with me. I compare multiple things. One, I'll compare what they did on their last fight. Two, I'll compare what they did on all their fights on paper. Three, all those fights on paper, I'll actually take them and review the fights, not as thoroughly. Compare stylistically what they do. 4, I look at their credentials in each sport, what they've done. For example, Shane Carwin, he's a Division II All-American and wrestling NCAA champion, so that will come into play. And then finally, I say, how they stack up against each other, put all the stuff together. How does it stack up? Because he's the underdog, I always like to start with the underdog. Rory MacDonald comes first. Now in his previous fight against Carlos Condit, he was stopped. At the very end of the third round on paper, it was TKO due to strikes, and it was 7 seconds away from the end of the fight. It did, however, get Fight of the Night honours, and they both got a bonus for that. All those fights together on paper, though, is very good. He hadn't fought some of the big names that the UFC does have to offer. He has fought plenty of good guys. Most of them were in KOTC Canada. One thing I want you to notice is as soon as he won the Canadian title of KOTC, his performances up until Carlos Condit just kept getting better and better. John Johnson won the title third round. After winning the Canadian title, he went and fought Clay French, KOTC world title. He beat him in 2 rounds by knockout. Then finishes Nick Henschlife by knockout in the 2nd round. Then makes his UFC debut and gets an armbar in the 1st round. Notice guys, this guy is a young up-and-comer, but he keeps improving. Because he hadn't fought any big names like Diaz yet, doesn't mean we should count him out. Most of the fights I talked about on paper are very similar to how they were in real life, just complete domination. It was back and forth for a little while, but the guys that he was fighting, they were truly in the fight. While victory in his UFC debut was incredible. That victory was bar none one of the greatest victories of his career. When he got stopped by Carlos Condit and lost his undefeated record, that's not really that big of a deal. Carlos Condit just knocked out Dan Hardy. Condit's a grappler's base. Realistically, I would name him as a combination boxing on jiu-jitsu. But ever since he lost to Carlos Condit, he came into Tri-Star Gym. Now he's training with guys like George St. Pierre. Training with guys like that, your wrestling is bound to improve. I think what you're going to see is just that in his next fight with Nate Diaz. I think that his wrestling is going to be much improved. You combine the ability to get better, combine with better training partners, and combine all that with better coaches. There's just no stopping it. There's no moving on to Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz lost his last fight by unanimous decision. Pretty much got dominated by Dong Hyun Kim. Got tossed around it well, got controlled on the ground. That's something we really haven't seen done to Nate Diaz before, aside from Maynard, is to be controlled on the ground. Let's look at his record on paper. Beat Marcus Davis, Scott Pellegrino, care of Melvin Gallard. Safe to say he's beaten some decent competition. On the other hand, he's lost to Maynard, Stevenson, Clay Goya, Franca, and Koji Oshii in a lower organisation. While he doesn't have any notable grappling credentials, he does have MMA credentials and a bunch of them. Number 1, clearly his first one would have to be the Ultimate Fighter Season 5 winner. And I followed that whole season when it happened and watched it again after. It was one of the most talent-filled seasons I've ever seen in the Ultimate Fighter. Great season 2, but this is besides the point. Fight of the Night 4 times, which means he probably has a decent heart. And finally, 2 times Submission of the Night awards. So he has the credential of jumping Mayhem Miller for Jake Shields. Most of the fights that he has won, he's dominated, and most of the fights he's lost, he's gotten dominated. So really with him, his fights is now in between. It's either dominate or get dominated. Stylistically, I think his jiu-jitsu is a bit overrated. He's got a brown belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu under Cesar Gracie. Well, Cesar Gracie is a great jiu-jitsu instructor. At the same time, just to remind you guys, he's a brown belt. But nonetheless, that basically is saying rank-wise, Rashad Evans has better jiu-jitsu than Nate Diaz. Most likely true. But anyway, what is actually good about him is that he's well-rounded. He can fight stand-up, he can fight on the ground, he can do all these things. He's very well-rounded. He's got good cardio, just like his brother Nick. He's got a lot of knockout power in both his hands. He's got good ground and pound. Very well-rounded. I don't like the guy very much, but I'm gonna be honest. Overall, here's how I see it happening. Nate Diaz has to impose his game, has to get off his style first. Actual on-paper style is very similar, boxing and jiu-jitsu. Style-wise, what they each got to do is, Nate, once again, has to get off his style first. He has to hit hard, hit fast, and get the knockout. Make sure that he picks his shots and is accurate. To take it to the ground, then he needs to either pull guard and make sure he's got him controlled and doesn't pass, or that when he actually does attempt a takedown, he uses strikes to set it up. Either that or he's already got him hurt. What Rory MacDonald has to do is Rory MacDonald has to look at the tapes, look at how Dong Hyun Kim was able to control Nick Diaz, look at how Gray Maynard was able to do it, and find out what he can do to do that. On stand-up, Nate Diaz is a very aggressive fighter. Like, counter to aggression is being a counter-striker, and pick your shots as a counter-striker. I think that if he do that real well, I think that could get him on stand-up. Grappling-wise, once again, he needs to find out how he can control Nate. He has lesser jiu-jitsu. I think he needs to work on passing the guard of Nate Diaz, and that way he can get to that position where he can control him and pound him out on the ground. I don't see Rory MacDonald being able to submit Nate Diaz. All in all, my prediction, everything combined, Nate Diaz is going to walk away with either a decision or a TKO due to a cut. The other thing about Nate is the way he punches you. If he misses, he at least makes a chip off your face, so it opens a little cut. How a good bit of his fights happen is his opponent gets cut. All in all, that's what I see happening. Do you believe that MacDonald has a big future in the UFC? This has been Czech MMA. Thanks for watching.